Hey, what's up, guys? It's Crayfish Obsession, and I've been inactive for the past few months. But I should be becoming more active now. I had some things I had to do in the past few months. I was kind of busy, and also, just for the future. Usually during the winter, I'm not as active on crayfish just because I can't breed them, um, and it gets colder, so I can't go out and catch them. But now that it's getting warmer, I should be more active in creating videos, stuff like that. And over the past few months, I got a lot of video requests and questions. And instead of making a video for each question, I think I'm gonna just directly respond to the questions that I've gotten. And I think that'll answer most of the people's questions. Okay, so our first question is from Ashaka Alankara. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And he's asking, um, I have a question. Do these guys look more black colored when they like 1 to 2 inch in size? My one has dark blue shades and claws, but the LFS owner said will be fully blue in no time. Still wondering if it's gonna happen. Okay, so crayfish when they're young, especially when they're below an inch, their colors are not really representative at all as their adult colors. They're going to be a lot lighter and they're going to be transparent, and I think that is to avoid being seen and eaten. And generally, the younger crayfish will be lighter and they will get darker, and their colors will become more opaque as they age. So if your crayfish is below an inch in size, its current color basically has no indication of what color it's going to be in adulthood. You want to just look at the parents of that crayfish. But once it grows to be an inch or two, I would say 2 inches or 1.5 inches in size, the color that it is at that point is basically going to be the adult colors. Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. Okay, so our next question is from Insanity759. Hi, my crayfish just recently went through a breeding process and is now missing an arm and has a small crack in her tail. She just had her babies, but when I look, her whole tail is brown and is spraying to her claws and head. Is this reversible? Okay, so if she just had her baby, she is actually gonna molt soon. If the crayfish will molt usually right after they release the babies from their tails. And also, I think I'm guessing what happened in this situation was that the male was a bit rough during mating and they fought a bit. Um, the rotting in the shell and the infection, that's gonna go away the next molt. Missing an arm, that is also gonna grow back a smaller size, and how much is gonna grow back depends on where it's from. So generally, American crayfish, the claw will eventually grow back after a few molts, but they never really make it to full size again. But on Cherax species, the claw is gonna grow back fully eventually, and they will be indistinguishable. Okay, so Lopamudra Bhattacharya, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is asking what are the foods of crayfish. You can crayfish basically eat anything. Most people feed them shrimp pellets or some kind of bottom feeding pellets for like plecos and stuff. They'll eat anything. I suggest not putting anything in the tank that has any sauce on it. That's gonna mess with the water. I think shrimp pellets are a good way to go. And if for reference, crayfish don't actually eat that much meat in the wild, and most of their diet is bugs. Actually, they eat small bugs. That's their main diet. Most people don't follow this, and I don't think it really matters. But just for reference, crayfish in a fish tank are actually getting way more meat than they would in the wild. And our next question comes from Skylar Taunt. I was reading the comments and I read that PH is a big factor on coloration of crayfish. Can you do a vid? So yeah, pH is a huge factor in determining color, in determining the intensity of color. So it's generally a fact for all crayfish. Lowering the pH is going to increase color. You can even make a gray crayfish look blue if the water is low enough pH. You don't want to lower it to crazy low levels, but you will notice the color becoming more intense and lower pH. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. I hope that answers your question. Our next question is from Salim. My crayfish is eating nothing till 15 to 20 days. What can I do now? I think a really big misconception with crayfish is that if you don't see it eat, it's not eating. But in reality, we have to remember that crayfish are nocturnal, especially if your crayfish is wild caught. It's probably not going to be eating right off the bat from your feed. It's going to take a few months, and sometimes they never really adjust to eating off the bat. But I can assure you, they're going to come out at night. They're nocturnal. Their primary feeding time is at night, and they're going to be roaming the tank, and they're going to eat it up. Even if you see parts of the shrimp pellet left over, don't worry, because there's always food in the substrate. They eat detritus, and they're going to pick off any sort of food scraps left behind in the substrate, which is kind of disgusting, but that's how they eat. So I wouldn't really worry about them not eating. And if they're really not eating, it's probably just because they're going to molt soon. I hope that answers your question. And our final question from Dave is going to be, we have some burrowing crayfish here in Michigan. Do these species feed on land? If so, can they be trapped on land in a similar fashion as trapping on water? Okay. So burrowing crayfish are in general pretty obscure, but most people just think that they eat like worms, invertebrates, and roots, and like plant roots in the ground, and they just eat whatever they find as they dig down. That's the general gist of it. Sometimes they'll come out, especially after rain, and they'll come out and feed outside the burrow. Can they be trapped on land in a similar fashion as trapping in water? So yeah, you can put a bottle trap right outside the hole, or cover the hole with a bottle trap, and when they come out, they're gonna get stuck in that bottle trap. But you want to make sure that you're checking that very frequently, because they're not in water anymore, and they're gonna dry out if you just leave the trap there for an entire week. And probably some animal is gonna try to chew at it if they see a crayfish just lying on the ground. So you would want to check that trap pretty frequently. So yeah, that was a lot of questions that I wasn't able to get back to you guys on the comments. I tried to stay active in the comments over the winter, but I did miss a few questions. So yeah, if there's still some concepts that you want me to elaborate on or be more specific, just comment that on this video, and I'll make a full-fledged video on it. And yeah, this is Crayfish Obsession, and I'll see you guys next time.